Hello everybody, this is a different video to normal. I've just got a freezing problem, well, a problem with my Linux Mint VMs freezing, or it appears to be. So if you're able to do Control-Alt, go back to show you where I was at, Control-Alt F7, just want to take you back and show you. There we go, Control-Alt F7, and I've got this, what I was doing was I was writing something in Scrapy, and accidentally I think I opened code, or VS Code twice. If you type code, it opens VS Code, and I accidentally did it a second time. I think it's using up all the memory. Now I don't know which process is which, so I could kill the process. But if I kill the wrong one, and I think I've got a lot of unsaved code there, and I just thought it was a good example. So what I'm going to do is I'm running a VM, but the same applies if this was a normal hard physical machine. So Control or F2, and then you get, well, I've logged in, but you don't need to see that. We all know how to log in, and yeah, if I do H top, I know this font's a bit small. Just do top then. So there we see code. Right, that's gone. So let's go back. And, well, at least, no, the mouse isn't frozen, so. I'm just going to screenshot that because I'd written my code and it was working. Is it going to allow me to do that even? In fact, in case VS Code writes over the top, let's just go there and we do cd documents, jobs, spiders, ls. Let's just do less on jobs.py, and there we have, that's the code. And is it? Yes, that is the latest version. And let's just make a copy of that then. So cp jobs.py jobs.bak. Good. Right, now if we do Control Alt F7, that also appears to be in a bit of a muddle. So what I think I may just do is restart the machine, and I could send restart from I could restart guest from the VM, but I think it's a bit more graceful to do it from. So just change home. American keyboard. How do I get tilde? How do I get? This is really annoying because I've got an American. Oh, so it's just next to the one on the keyboard. Okay. And sudo sudo shut down -r now. Right. So this is I guess it's one of the pitfalls of using a VM. if you run low on memory, but you'd probably have a similar issue with a physical machine. So let's see what happens when it comes back up. And what I'll do is I'll open VS Code and I'll see if I've still got my most recent copy of the spider that I was writing, and then I will talk a bit more about the spider. So what I thought I'd do would be to show off a bit and do some web scraping on a recruitment website, and use Scrapy and save the results to a database, and potentially do some NLP, natural language processing, and potentially do some machine learning demonstrations with it, and maybe some linear regression, and potentially write a Flask app to show it off as well. So it's a bit of a multi-step project about to take place here. So apologies if anybody's only here for the out and out web scraping, but I think as I keep saying, I think it's really important to link all of the parts together. So here we go. We're just going to open up cd documents, cd job, cd job. I've got jobs inside jobs inside jobs. Have I got, yeah, cd bin source active for 8. Perhaps if you spell it properly. So I created a virtual environment called jobs, and then Scrapy created 2 more directories inside called jobs. cd spiders, ls, and then I should then make a symbolic link to the desktop, but I like to leave the desktop uncluttered. And what have we got? We got jobs.backup, jobs.py. Let's do code jobs.py. And we've still got all of our spider, which is good. So I may or may not, I most probably will use items, which, if you're unfamiliar with the Scrapy framework, items is what enables you to link up with a pipeline. So you've got pipelines.py and you've got items. So items, I've just gone in and created URL description. There's probably going to be I'm going to need to do some regular expressions as well on the scraped text, the response text. So yeah. Close items for the time being. And I'll show you what I've done so far. So import OS, which we'll use to, if the file exists, we'll do try accept, and if the file doesn't exist, if the folder doesn't exist, we'll create it. If it does, then we'll just do parse. Import Scrapy import request, crawler process, beautiful soup. I've had to use that in the past because otherwise I get module not found error. So just going to leave that in. Just going to leave that. So I'm scraping a job site, and part of the reason why I'm doing this is because there's a continuous load more, continuous scroll for that site, and I was getting 600 odd jobs, and I was only actually getting about 29 displayed on the page, and you had to scroll to get the rest. And it was actually sending a post request to the API with some very long IDs that were being generated dynamically with JavaScript. So rather than resort to using Selenium, what I'm going to do is, obviously the 600 odd jobs were posted over many days, weeks, or even months. So if you narrow it down just to past 24 hours, then it's only listing 17 jobs, so they all fit on the first page without any post request to get more from the API. So what I'll do is I'll scrape it each day, and over a period of time it will build up and build up, and I'll scrape that to a database, and ultimately I'll have the same, within a few days or weeks, I should have the same number of live listings as the actual site. And I'll set it to run on the Raspberry Pi. So anyway, feeds, at the moment I'm just testing it with CSV files, so that's why we've got custom settings here. And yeah, so next we've written parse, and that's just going to the job site, and it's getting all of the href2s, which are all of the jobs which are in which have h2 tags. Then for each of those, I'm just going to follow that URL. I'm going to print the response, and then I'm going to actually go and visit the follow the link. So then we'll end up with a response that we can then pass, and we can extract just the text, because this job site is actually just sending us off to random other sites. They're either internal jobs, or there's in the URL, it's either called desk, DESC, or it's called away. And if it's away, it means it's on a third-party website. So I'm just following these regardless, and whatever the site is, I'm just going to get the text, because I've no way of knowing what the site will be. If I studied it, I could probably narrow it down to maybe a dozen, but doing it this way, this is future-proof, because they can send you off to any site that will ever exist, and we'll just get the text. The next thing to do will be to we can either use regular expressions, or we can try and make with NLP it's called a bag of words. We'll pass all the text, and then we'll remove out all the stop words. The stop word is like in and the. And yeah, then we'll put that into our database, and we will try and make some sense of it. So if you're waiting for me to run it, I suspect you probably are. Let's just terminal, new terminal, and would have been easier just to run it from here, wouldn't it? Right, let's do that way then. And I'm going to run it again, hopefully without freezing it, because that would be annoying. So I may as well just do this full size, and then we will do Python jobs.py, and I'll show you it running. No module names. Go away. I'm going to talk about Windows in a minute, because at risk of being controversial, I'm going to be controversial, so I'm just going to pause it there and free up some disk space. Okay, just freed up some disk space, and we're back on the job. So did I not install Scrapy in my virtual environment? Possibly not. So either always use virtual environments, or don't ever use virtual environments. If you kind of do some of the time, you'll kind of you'll get up, you won't be in the habit of always installing Scrapy. I probably don't. Less time I use Scrapy than actual. There we go. So Scrapy is done. Let's run again. Beautiful soup's missing. So yeah, if you don't always use a virtual environment, you won't be in the habit of installing things, and then wow, as you can see, we've got that was quick. So I don't know how many that actually visited. There's one. Scroll up. 2. There should be 17. 3. I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but we'll just go 4, 5. I don't even know. 7. Okay, so it's probably got 17. So yeah, we can see all the text from these job listings. So senior UI UX designer. Now, part of the reason I'm doing this is because I don't know about you, but I'm sick. But part of me is reluctant to actually go back into the business world for many, many reasons, and I could talk about those all day. But suffice to say, even if you're casually observing job listings in the job market, just as an onlooker, the job descriptions and the accuracy of the job descriptions compared to what you're sorry about that, compared to what you're searching for is not good. So what I thought I'd do would be to actually do it myself, and I would scrape jobs from sites, and then I would write regular expressions and do natural language processing and do some machine learning, so that I would then get results that were tailored to me, and I would also elect to ignore many keywords. For instance, I don't want to be working somewhere that uses AWS, or somewhere that says creative director. I don't want to be a director, and I don't want to be a creative designer for front end. So front end software vacancy, Ruby on Rails. So again, I would, if they were specifying Ruby, then I would choose to ignore it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going with this project, and we've got a CSV now. So I don't know if I dare open the CSV. Let's go for it. And once I've got some usable information, then I'm going to query it with pandas, and then we'll do some exploratory data analysis, EDA, and then we will do some graphs, some visualization with matplotlib or plotly, and we will just try and, here we go, Jubal. I think I've run this several times and I didn't. It's been a pending, so maximum number of characters per cell was exceeded. Okay. I think that's probably I think that's a restriction of no. I think that's probably a restriction of Excel or spreadsheet program, not a restriction of anything else. Yeah, there we go. So we've got remote, Jubal, degree, university degree, you're a connector, you work across our products, best practice. Okay, so as you can see, this is quite messy because I've had to extract just the text using Beautiful Soup, and because I've no way of knowing what the third-party pages will be. So yeah, that's the introduction to my next project. So if you'd like to keep watching, then I recommend you subscribe. And yeah, one final thing, a rant about Windows. So Windows is nagging me to do an update, which it's been doing that for a couple of weeks, and I don't want to update because it's saying that it will break my VMware workstation, VMware player. So S capital H. There we go. So what have we got? 7 udev SDA1. There we go. So it thinks it's got 200 gig available. So I've used 12 gig on this VM. The trouble is the hard drive that Windows is running on has only got 4 gig left. And obviously this is running inside Windows. So this would potentially use up a lot of space, and then it would actually use up the remaining space that I've got left on the Windows PC and compromise that. So yeah, so what I thought, well, I've ordered a 240 gig SD, and believe it or not, I'm thinking about just binning Windows altogether. And part of the problem is that when I'm using the VM, it's fairly quick, but it's not quite as responsive as my laptops. And this is, believe it or not, is an i7 with 16 gig of RAM. So I thought, well, why not just run Linux up? So if anybody's got any comments or thoughts, I've used Linux Mint for a while, but I've actually recently used Manjaro, and it's very, very neat, clean, minimalist. You use pacman instead of apt-get install, and more often you actually need to use make and make install and actually create your programs from source. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And yeah, what do you think? Is it better to go with Debian Linux Mint, or to try Manjaro? I don't know. Either way, there's pretty much... the other thing is the video editor. So at the moment I've been using Filmora, but I believe that, well, there's two choices. It's either KDN Live or Flowblade. So there's a bit of a learning curve with them, but Flowblade looks quite powerful, and possibly even more powerful than Filmora, which is kind of aimed at plucky amateurs. So yeah, very shortly I think I'm going to switch full-time to Linux, and I'll leave the Windows hard drive connected to the PC, but I'll actually boot straight. I'll be booting from the... I'm not going to even do dual boot, because that's just halfway house. So yeah, let's see if we can... Let's see how I can get on with just using Linux. All I really used is video editing and Photoshop on Windows. So yeah, let's see how we get on with VS Code on, because VS Code in Linux, it runs, well, for me it runs fine, and other than when it freezes when you accidentally open two copies of it. So yeah, job web scraping and installing a new hard drive. I'm running a PC just from Linux, Manjaro. So yeah, if that's of interest, then keep following and subscribe, and then you'll stay up to date with what I'm tinkering with. So yeah, catch you soon.